thanks for jumping on. I'm here with Mike Rozenboom. We're going to have a great conversation. 18 years in the business, doing a lot of deals, but still getting all the time that he wants with his family, which, that work-life balance, it can just be so non-existent for most agents. He's figured it out. We're going to have a good conversation. Here we go. Mike Rozenboom, good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing good. And that intro is rocking, Jeff. And I gotta know the one where you're like standing on the rock. Where was that?
That was that was Crested Butte up here in Colorado. Yeah, it's beautiful. Have you been out here to Colorado? You spent much time out here?
I mean, Colorado is, and when people move to Nashville, Nashville. Okay, so I grew up in Detroit area.
Okay.
And then I lived in Tampa.
Okay.
And then I lived in Atlanta. So, I mean, nothing against those places at all, but, Nashville's really cool. Like, I love Nashville. I love the vibe. But I will say, so we compete pretty well, I feel like. But Colorado is one of those places where it's like, yeah, I get it. You're moving to Colorado. I understand. People, you got a lot going on in Colorado.
We do. I'm from Indiana originally. So I lived in California for 15 years. And then we decided, my wife and I got married out there, had a couple of kids. We decided it's time to make a move. It was either going to be back to Indiana where my family was or Colorado where her family was. And we'd come here to visit a couple of times. My family's like, come back. I'm like, no, you move out. I'm going to Colorado. Yeah. And it's been a great place to be. Yeah, we've been here 23 years now. Beautiful.
23 years.
Yeah,
we've been in Nashville for about 18. So I've been doing real estate. When I moved to Nashville, I started doing real estate right away.
Okay.
So which is really crazy because I didn't know the difference between an expensive neighborhood here and people are like, I want to look at this area, and I'm like, sounds good, let's go. We'll learn about it together.
Yeah.
So I've been doing real estate here for 18 years.
Very cool. Let's talk about that a little bit. So what got you into the business? Why did you pick real estate?
So when I was in Michigan, I had some mentors of mine at the church we go to, and I was probably in my early 20s, I believe. And I just really trusted them. Their family did real estate, and she's like, you'd be a great realtor. I'm like, okay. And so their family actually was a buyer's agent with their team for a year in Michigan, and they were wonderful. I learned a lot. Tom Ferry, I went to one of his programs, learned a lot, did cold calling, hated it, but learned a lot. I sold like 8 houses, but we weren't making enough money.
Right.
So moved to Atlanta for 2 years, was a claims adjuster. Really hated that, but that was tough. And I was visiting friends in Nashville, and I came across this dude who's here. His name's Jay Nelson, and we really hit it off. And so like a month later, I moved here and was working on his team. And I was on his team for like 2 years, and then I've been on my own since.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, that's it.
So 18 years though now.
And so 18 years in Nashville. Yep.
Okay.
19 years. Or I think so. I really should figure that out. I think, is it 18 years as a realtor or 18 years in Nashville? I'll think about that. I'll get back.
You've done real estate a long time, though.
Long enough. I always say if you've been doing it more than 10 years and you're still smiling, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
A lot of us get cranky as we get older.
Let me ask you, I mean, just, and again, there's going to be all kinds of agents that watch this, new agents, seasoned agents, whatever. Some of the new agents that got in the last couple of years. And of course, now we're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And, I don't know if you saw the stat that came out, I think this last week or so, NAR put out that stat, 8% of all of NAR, National Association of Realtors, 8% have done 4 deals or more this year. 8%. Did you see that? Yeah.
I didn't see that.
8% have done 4 deals or more in 2022.
Wait.
That's crazy. Think about that. Yeah. That means 92 out of 100 have not had 4 closings this year.
Oh
We're going to
man,
see a lot of people, exiting this business potentially,
man, they
with
don't
what's
need
going
to
on.
leave. They just need to, we just need
But
to sharpen our skills a little bit.
exactly. I think so. Knowing what you've been in this a long time. You went through 2008, different things like just if you could go back to your first couple years, there might be something here that some of these agents could pick up on. What would you do differently? Is there anything you would do differently if you could go back in time? And if you were starting all over right now, what would be a couple things you would tell some of those new agents, like especially with the shift going on right now? What would you share with them?
It's a good question. I know that being around other agents is super helpful because even if so let's just say you're one of those agents and you're doing 5 deals. One of the
Hmm.
things that I noticed and I did so appreciate about being on a team is, granted you get leads handed to you, but that's dangerous. So don't listen to that part. But being around a lot of transactions was super helpful because I don't think there's any better way to learn than to be around a lot of transactions and you hear
Right.
what's going on in the market. So, but with that, um, it's hard if that's where being on the team was good because you had several guys and we shared everything, right? Because we were on a team together, so we weren't in competition in that sense. So that
Hmm.
that was really huge, is being around a ton of transactions and just learning what other people are going through. So it kind of gives you strength and confidence to go out and talk to other agents about what or other clients about what's going on.
Right.
A lot of times you have to have a team to really have those people to collaborate with. But I mean, the last 5 years, the company I'm with now, I mean, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
You've had years where you've sold like 200 houses a year. That's rare.
Yeah.
That's really rare. And I know if I heard, I could call you and be like, "Hey Jeff," and you'd be like, "Wait, who are you? Remember? I might. Oh yeah, hey. Oh yeah, this is how I did that."
Right.
So that's huge. So if you're an agent and you don't have people around you that that you can share with, it's really hard.
Yeah.
You get out on an island really fast, especially when the market and the streams, the currents are changing. I mean,
For
they
sure.
blow your ship all over the place. And I said
Yeah.
ship with a P.
Right. Just clarify. Yeah.
Just clarify.
Yeah, I heard you.
Family
So,
show.
yes, yes, absolutely. No, and that's a great point. I mean, that collaboration is so vital. Being around the right people, getting the right advice, getting the right direction. And I appreciate. You were on. In fact, I'll put a link. When this gets posted, I'll probably share the link from the mastermind that you
Yeah,
led us on a couple days ago. On Tuesday, we
that
do
was
that every
fun.
Tuesday. You did. It was awesome. You had some. I told my wife afterwards. I mean, like you shared that idea. It's like ways to get more business, like ways, because you're doing, we titled it, whatever, 25 deals a year consistently, whatever. Like you're able to do that, without buying leads, and that's where most of
Right.
us tend to go. And how many leads you have to go through to find that one that turns into something. I'm not down on that. I've done it. If it's working, do it. And, we'll still buy some leads, but there's other ways to get business. And one of the things you shared the other day, like that idea of partnering up with a nonprofit.
Hmm.
Can you share about that just real quick on here? Like I'll post the link to that whole
Sure.
training on here so people could see it because it was so good. But share that idea real quick with
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And just the backstory on that a little bit,
Yeah.
because there's a principle there. And we talked in that mastermind about being consistent. Well, listen, I'm not the most consistent. Like I struggle with that. And
Right.
so if you struggle with something, cheat. I don't mean, of course I don't mean cheat, but I mean like,
Right. Right.
so the cheat on that is if you want, in order to be consistent, find something that you would naturally want to do anyways, right? So if you're aligning with what you would want to do, because when I first started in real estate, I was doing cold calling and it was like sucking my soul. I did learn a lot. So I'm not downing it, but man, it was hard to be consistent when you're doing something you don't like. So partnering with a nonprofit, if you have a nonprofit that you naturally just love or a cause that you just really kind of gets your heart, um, find a way to partner with them. And the basic structure was just really, meet with them, make sure you understand what they need, what they're going through, and then just offer that if anybody who does a real estate transaction, that mentions that they're nonprofit, which means they probably came as a somehow from them or a
Right.
referral or in some way, associated, that if they mention your nonprofit, I'll donate X amount of dollars to your nonprofit because I'm I really dig what you guys are doing and I want to support it.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of synergy there because it for some of us who aren't, I'm not like super motivated by making a ton of money, but I'm super motivated by helping people.
Right.
And so yeah, it kind of makes you it makes you be more consistent easier because you're aligning with something that you already have energy towards.
Sure. I just love the idea. I mean, there will always be people looking to move. There will always be people needing to move, whether it's a job situation, unfortunately, I mean, divorce, there's just, death in the family. There's just different, whatever. There's all kinds of reasons why people will need to move. Some people might be pulling back right now. Let's just hang tight. We don't have to move. Let's just see
Right.
where this goes. I get it. But there will always be people in the market to move. And so to me, it's like, whatever, like to partner up with somebody like that, just get the word out that all of a sudden you get somebody coming to you and like, oh yeah, the Heart Association, my buddy over there, like he mentioned, I'm like, oh great. And I'll gladly donate to, here's something I'm passionate about. I told my wife, like, what a great way to just, help other people at the same time, but be able to maybe pick up, some extra business this year. Like there's just so many things that can be done like that to have a consistent business. And I think, other than, again, there's more ways than just, spending $1,000 a month to get,
Mhm.
leads from this thing and then paying them
Right. And they're
referrals. And
cold feeds, and that's the thing. Like you said,
yeah,
we'll stroke a check real quick to buy pay for a lead generating type stuff,
right.
and it's like, and then they're cold. Whereas if you just partner with somebody, you know, you're you're paying money towards something great,
Right.
and they're warm leads,
Yeah.
because they're most likely a referral instead of just
Yeah,
somebody coming off the
for
internet.
sure. I just thought it was a great idea. Whatever. I mean, 20 years in the business. I told my wife afterwards, like, "Wow, this was awesome." So
We're always
I'll put the link to that mastermind in the comments down here. And share that with people, whatever. And everybody can find it on my YouTube channel. But real
very
quick, one of the things I want to hit with you because I think this is just something that can be so elusive for realtors. I mean, again, we get into this business because we want I can be my own boss. I can
mhm,
set my own schedule. I can run my own hours. I can get more time with my kids. I can go to all my kids' games. I can all these kind of things that maybe they can't do in a regular, 9 to 5, 8 to 6 kind of job. So we get into this, and now your business starts growing, and
mhm,
all of a sudden it's like it's completely out of whack and out of balance, and we miss all this stuff. Yes, we're our own boss, but every client we have now is our boss, and they're
yeah,
running our lives, and we let them run our lives, and it can just get so out of whack. I went there. I've been there. What can you talk about that? Because I know that was one of the things I think that really, just stuck out to me when you and I were talking. You've just been very good about that as far as your kids. Tell me about your family first of all. You've been married how long?
24 years.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah,
good.
we got
24
married
years.
young.
Yeah.
24 years. So we have a about to be 21-year-old
Okay.
son. He's awesome. Caleb, he's in at Tennessee Tech. 18-year
Okay.
old daughter. Of course, now I got to say they're all awesome, right? So
Yeah.
18-year-old daughter and 16-year-old daughter. And
Okay.
then we just took custody of my now 11 and 6-year-old nephews. And
Very
that
cool.
so it's
Okay.
lots of change. But yeah, so that's been the span, and we've just
So
really. So I've been a realtor most of my kids' lives. Caleb was.
let's talk about that. I mean, was it ever out of balance? I mean, and I think sometimes when you're first starting the business, building any kind of business, I don't care what it is, there's going to be some time where it's out of balance. But I
Yeah.
think, we tend to carry that on through our entire career sometimes, some agents out there, that I'm so much about like, okay, like I put it the other day, stop the glorification of busy. It's almost like we just got this thing in our heads, like the busier I am and the later
Right.
I am working on
So
the
good.
computer and I can post that and look at me, aren't I something? I worked till 10 o'clock tonight.
Yep.
Stop that.
Mhm.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, was it out of balance at the beginning for a while?
Um, a little. I think one of the things though is I did always have a clear vision that I wanted, like the song "Cats in the Cradle," like I'm like I'm never going to be that. So
Yeah.
I think where I probably scraped at the bottom of my belly a couple of times, like where I could have been flying higher,
Right.
especially right after the market turned. Um, you know, there's those that work too much, and then but you gotta balance. You gotta make sure you're working enough. And so it's always been fairly good with the family. Now they may not agree because I am a realtor. And so the thing is, yes, there are many, many times where I would get up from the table and take a phone call. You
Sure.
know, but I was also we were fortunate because we did homeschool, so that
Okay.
and I worked from home, so I was able to prioritize and then try to get those special times like daddy dates and stuff like that. So it's not,
Very
and it's
cool.
hard. I mean, still to this day, it's really hard to just have my phone down, face down, or away from me and just focus. It's something I still work on.
Yeah.
But from a big picture standpoint, I always wanted to make sure that my marriage was solid and my kids were solid. And so it was really just kind of a constant battle, but it one
Mhm.
that I was pretty determined to win. But that's why I knew I never wanted to sell 50 homes or 100 homes because I was always afraid that it would get away from me,
Yeah.
and so 25 to 30 has always been, anything more than that, and I knew I'd have to hire people. Now being in the business longer, being around guys like you, honestly, like that, you realize, okay, you can systemize, and bring good people on. You don't
Yeah.
have to get big and just lose control, because I've
Right.
seen a lot of agents do that.
Yeah.
But it did start with the priority, and then just you really just you'll probably trial and error. I don't have like a 3-step plan to
Sure.
making sure
Sure.
you have work-life balance, but you do have to care about it and just understand that, everything you say yes to, you are saying no to everything else.
Yeah.
So that fear, though, I did let fear probably keep me, um, selling less houses than maybe I could have. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have sold so many. I mean, no,
Sure.
but
Sure.
no, I don't, at least,
No, but I think it's just, as you're saying all that, it just makes me think. I mean, again, like I think it's important in this business. We need to keep our priorities, and
mhm,
it just, I don't know. For me, I mean, I've always said it. I've said it. God, marriage,
yeah,
God, wife, kids, business.
yeah, mhm,
Now, unfortunately, I could go back and say, was that always in place like that? Not really. There were definitely times when it went, business, what,
sure,
wife, kids, God, I mean, God, whatever, like it'd get all jumbled up sometimes, but business would stay at the top. And I had to learn from that. I mean,
so I was
unfortunately, I've been married 28 years. We've gotten through it, and our kids are doing great. They're 26 and 23. They were 6 and 3 when I started, whatever. But there is a couple years there where it's kind of a blur, like
yeah,
I'm like, I don't know. The one thing you mentioned, the like the dates, and I
yeah,
was, if anybody out there and you got young kids, I just think
oh,
that's
man, do that.
it's so key. I mean, kids spell love Time.
Yeah,
They don't get it. They don't understand when you take that phone call and you got to leave. They don't get it. That just says to them, it's like, well, that's more important than I am. That's what it says. Those
yep,
actions. You're not saying that, but that's what it says. And I just think I remember those daddy daughter dates, and we just had it consistent. And, I remember like it, separately, I had two daughters. So, whatever,
yeah,
Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock before school, what we homeschooled
yep,
for some too, whatever, here's our hour, we're going to go out. And I would leave my phone in the car.
yep,
Nothing can't wait. Everything could wait an hour. You know what I mean? And I'd leave the
I
phone in the
know,
car and go in, and we'd have a coffee at Starbucks, and we would talk, and we'd play a game, and we'd whatever. You know what I mean? And the kids loved that time. I
you
remember
know,
Wednesday nights. That was our family night. And the
yeah,
kids, they looked so forward to Wednesday nights. They knew I was not going to have a listing appointment or a buyer appointment. I'm not going to be showing homes. I will be home for, we will have a family dinner Wednesday night for sure. We will, we did devotionals, and then we will watch a movie, or we'll watch a show, or we'll play a game, or whatever. Like the kids just look so forward. They could count on that Wednesday night. And
yes,
I think it's so key that you set up some boundaries. I think that's the challenge. It can be real easy to not have boundaries in this. Your clients will respect the boundaries
they so
if you
will.
just go through it up front. This
Yeah,
is what I do. I'm married. I got two daughters. This is kind of how we're set up. I won't let a deal fall apart. I promise you. If we're under contract and we're closing the next day, and you need to call me at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, absolutely, I'll step aside and we'll get that figured out. I'll take that call. I'm not going to let something get in the way, but just understand, here's how I do things. And most of them are like, oh, great. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, you got a life. You got to have a life. I mean,
yeah,
but like, this is what they're thinking, but I think most realtors, we tend to fly by the seat of our pants, and then it becomes very unprofessional to everybody else. and hurts the whole
Mhm.
business, and we all
And
suffer
when you
for it.
and if your family starts struggling, obviously it's really hard because we're self-employed, which means it's anything that affects us is going to affect our business.
Yeah.
And as you're saying that, it strikes me because we tend to be pretty good. If you've been in the business a while, you get really good at setting expectations for your clients and
Right.
pacing your clients. And you look forward and you're like, and so everything that becomes a problem at one point, then you set that expectation for the next client. And we're so good about doing that. You just got to do the same thing with your family and your kids. Is you have to set the expectations, be consistent on your follow through with them. It's the same thing,
Right.
but a lot of times we're good at one and not good at the other. And we just have to do both. So with our kids, I mean, they knew if I had to be on the phone, they were very respectful. They wouldn't like interrupt. But then when you're back with the kids, you've really got to give them your attention.
Yeah.
And then ask them. If you're a realtor out there and you're struggling, just ask your kids. They'll tell. Just be honest with them, or just ask them. Say, hey, what can I do? Are you feeling okay? You feel like I'm focused on you. Understand that I love you and that you're the most important thing. And you may not be ready to hear it.
Yeah.
The cool thing, whatever they tell you, just listen. And there's probably all of us. There, if we ask that question of our kids, there's minor tweaks we could make that would make a huge difference.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I think at the end of it all, I mean, I don't know. You can barely see him. I think right up. Let's see. I got to fit right up there. Trying to do this over my head. There's some like trophies up there. Like
Yeah,
things that I've won over the years in real estate. Number one, this top five
yeah,
percent of this, and all these kind of things. That's all great, but not at the expense of your family.
right.
And I think that unfortunately that can happen in this. Well, it can happen in
It's
anything, but
easy.
it
It is a
definitely can
very
happen in this
consuming
business.
business.
Yeah. All of a sudden, yeah, yeah, I'm, number one in town, whatever. But my wife left me in the
Right.
process, and now, it's like, come on, like that's not worth it at the end of it all, really.
Nope.
And that can get out of whack, I think, a little bit too with this. Yeah, and let's talk. You've been in EXP now how long? 5 years?
5 years. Five
Okay.
years. I had to just look at it because it's gone by fast. And
Yeah.
maybe that was COVID, but I was like, I thought it was 3. No, it's 5 years. I've been with
Did
EXP.
you get it right away? You saw it and you're like, wow, I'm in. I love it. Or was it a process? Like, how was it for you coming
Well,
over?
so EXP was a lot different back then, right? Because maybe there was 5,000 agents
Yeah.
nationwide. So it was still a little bit of an unproven concept. I mean, now it's like, okay, 85, I don't know how many, 85,000 agents and counting
Yeah.
or whatever, but a lot of really, really, really happy agents. So no, I got the overall concept right away that they were, so the thing that hit me was I saw the pressure on our industry
Yeah.
like like Zillow, if you're watching, like I know they're coming for us. They would love
Sure.
to just go straight to the consumer. And honestly, Jeff, if they were doing a better job, like if consumers were just way better served that way, I'd probably just gracefully bow out. But I mean, you don't have to even go back to the all those homes they bought and had to sell to Wall Street. Like
Yeah.
the industry still right now it works better when clients have a realtor who's care and who's competent. So all that stuff. But I saw the pressure on the industry, and so
Mhm.
seeing that not having brick and mortar was like, wow, that is like I can totally see where you're nimble, and it makes a lot of sense so that we can flex as with all this pressure that's on the industry. And now we're in one of those inflection points again where
Yeah.
there's a ton of pressure because of the market change. So it's just great to be with something that's really nimble. So I saw that and my thought was, well, because I was really happy where I was. I was with a small brokerage and I loved it. So in the back of my mind, it took me a couple of months, but I thought, well, if I go and it's not good, I could always go back, I guess, because I'm
Sure.
not a burn your bridges kind of a guy.
Yeah.
So, and, still friends with those people, that were at that brokerage, you know what I mean? So it took a little, cause I'm a slow adopter, I'd say, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think I tell people that all the time when I show them EXP. And that's when I saw it, I'm like, I was kind of like, what do I have to lose? Like it looks like I have a
Well,
whole lot to gain. And I knew I could go back just like you. I'm like, I'm not signing my life away here. I'm not
mm,
signing my business away here. If I go over, like, I don't know, let me go give this a shot for 6 months or a year and see what happens. And if it doesn't work the way I think it's going to, then I'll go back to where I came from. Like, it's all good. They'll take me back.
The,
whatever. But I was like, what do I have to lose? And I'm like, I'm more excited now than I was 4.5 years ago when
oh
I got over
man,
here. I can't imagine where we're going to be 4.5, 5 years from now. I mean, really, can
to
you
set up
seriously?
for it. And
Oh, goodness.
the collaboration, like it's really given the industry back to the agents,
Yeah.
instead of having all of these gatekeepers of, and I've loved every brokerage. I was with Remax, loved Remax. Was with a small brokerage, loved that. But just all the agents, if you're an agent and you're watching this, just the don't buy into the point the sales pitch that you need something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
The brokerages, you have to have a brokerage, you have to hang your license somewhere. But I mean, really, it's on us as agents to go out there, take care of our clients, and do the right thing. And so EXP is just set up, and I know I'm not trying to make this a sales pitch. I just really love being with EXP, but EXP is just set up to support you in doing that and not try to set themselves up as if you need them. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Have
definitely.
you kind of felt that too?
Absolutely. But, and here's the other thing. I think, and along the lines with what we've been talking about here, I think for those that are out of balance or those that are, they're trying to figure out, or even new and building it up, if I can get paid in multiple ways for what
That's
was
true.
doing over here anyway, like that starts freeing up some of my time, and I tell people all the time, look, if I could show you how you could replace your commission income with referral income. No, I don't mean like a couple referrals this year. I mean like replace your commission income with referral income. If I could help you do that over the next 2 or 3 years, would you be open to a 30-minute coffee just to see how that works? Like,
You know,
isn't it worth a coffee
the,
or a Zoom just to at least look at that? Now, you can tell me no afterwards. You can say, like, it's just not for me. Totally good. At least you know what you're saying no to. But that's what we're trying to help people do. The name of our group, Freedom Team. Like,
yeah,
that wasn't something we just let's, well, what should we call
freedom
ourselves?
zone
I don't know.
too.
How about this? Freedom Team. Like, we thought long and hard about that
Mm,
because I think that's why we get into this business,
right.
and it doesn't exist. What? And now I feel like with this model, that could actually happen. You could have time freedom, like literally. Here's the thing: most people, they get really successful. They either have they have financial freedom, but they don't have
Mhm.
time freedom. They're working
Right, right, right.
80, 90 hours a week to maintain that, whatever, crazy. Or they have all the time in the world and now they're broke. They don't need money. So time freedom, but no money. you know, Here, if we could get both those lined up together,
Oh
time
man.
freedom, money freedom, but also location freedom. If I decide, I can
Oh
keep my
yeah.
license active here in Colorado and I can move to anywhere in the world that I want to if I'd ever decide to do that, and I can still get paid every month.
So that's a real thing now. I mean,
And that's
and
possible in this model.
COVID accelerated that all over the place, but EXP was already set up
Sure.
with the cloud to have that. And I do want to speak to one thing on that,
Yeah.
because and guys like you and I've got friends who are all doing that. They've already done it.
Yeah.
They've experienced that. And I was the guy. Remember, I'm the slow adopter. So when I came over, I was like, well, I'm never gonna recruit anybody. That's just not. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I stayed true to that for a while. But here's the thing. I can say this, just being here and just being supported and being poured into by so many different agents. You know, if you just say, look, I just want to sell real estate, that's the amazing thing is it's still the best brokerage I've ever worked with. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the support that you get in the collaboration has been off the charts, and
Totally.
then you get all that. The other stuff is real. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
incredible that both exist. You're not
Yeah.
sacrificing one for the other at all, because it's made me a way better agent in the last 5 years, and it's really just because um, the collaboration.
Right.
These
Well, and I
kinds
think
of
one of the things that's happening here right now, like I've had several calls in the last month, 6 weeks, agents reaching out to me, asking me to show them EXP.
yeah.
And in fact, I've got a lady, she's top five in her market,
Hmm.
out of all the realtors there. She's been at Remax for 26 years. And she called me out of nowhere, about a month ago and just said, hey, put me on your schedule for the beginning of October. I'm watching where every dollar's going in this shift. I'm watching what you guys are doing and I get it and I see it. Call me at the 1st of October. And I think I'm ready. I never thought I'd say this, but I think I'm ready to leave Remax and make the move over to EXP. So, she's
I
on my
get
list to
it.
call first of the month. I had a guy call me in California that I wouldn't know him if he knocked on my door right now. Comment, hey, I saw one of these interviews that you did, and I looked on your YouTube channel, been watching some things. I've been a realtor for 33 years. I've been independent for the last 15, and
Mhm.
I want to talk
And
to you about what you guys are doing at EXP. Like,
and
that's
and
happening more and more and more.
successful, but he's by himself. I
Yeah.
mean, and
He's at 100%, whatever,
right,
but you'll make more than that here. But he's like,
yep.
well, how do you do that? That's impossible. No, let me show you this model,
And you know
you
what's
know?
interesting, Jeff? Because now I'm more into telling people about it, just because I'm like, man, I feel like I'm doing them a disservice. Do what you want to do, disservice. But what's interesting is a lot of us, the approach we have is, okay, if an agent's going to come over, how can we pour into them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's what you're spending your time doing. Is you're like, how do I help them be better? How do I help
Absolutely.
them become successful? And it's a top down thing. I mean, the leadership at EXP that goes all the way to the top. That's how it was started, and that's how they act today. And
Yeah.
it's really fascinating because I see so many agents. They're 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 talking about not agent count, but they're talking about, well, how do I pour into them? How can we be better together?
Yeah.
It's a really cool thing.
It's really what it is. It's really what it is. How can I help you grow your business? How can I help you accomplish where you want to be in 5 years from now in your business? All that kind of stuff. And in the meantime, you're going to have a closing and somebody's going to ask you like, hey, I saw you moved over to EXP and I keep hearing about that thing. And, how's that work? Can you tell me about it? That's going to happen more and more as time goes on. It's happening right now for
And
sure. So,
decoupling. I want to say this real quick because I said
sure.
in the beginning I started on a team, but I'm not really a big believer in real estate teams.
Right.
And I could have a real estate team probably if I just started buying some leads and got then you just bring people on and you give them the leads and that's how it works. But there's this thing with teams that it's almost like then I have to keep people under me, kind of subject to me, like,
Yeah.
and there's a ceiling. When you're on somebody's team, it's like they're the ceiling. And they almost there's almost this desire to keep that facade that ceiling is there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
With EXP's model, like there's no ceiling. Like I have agents that come in and I pour it and I'm like, I want you to be better than me. I want you to sell more houses than me because it doesn't matter. Because if you don't want to sell 25, you want to sell 50, we'll talk to Fonda Hatmaker. She does it all the time. You want to sell 200? Well, you better give Jeff Burrell a call. He'll tell you how he did it.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not the
Hmm.
ceiling.
Sure.
You don't have to be under me. And when you come into real estate, I don't want you having that mindset. I want
Right.
you to be thinking, how do you want to do your business?
Right.
And then we'll put you with somebody who does it that way.
Right. For sure, and and again, I think teams can be good. I had a traditional team for 13 years. I don't have that anymore. I didn't need it when I came over to this model, really. But I tell people all the time. In fact, I was on a Zoom a couple of days ago with a lady, and one of her things that she's on a team right now. She's been in the business for 4 years, and I just said she's so reliant on that team. And I was just having
Right.
that conversation with her. I said it's all good, but I said here, watch this training. I sent her your training. The one we did a couple of days. I'm going to send you a recording. Watch this. And I'm going to send you a couple others that we've done. Every
Mhm.
Tuesday we do these. So I sent her a couple
Yeah.
different things. I said, watch these and just write down things that maybe resonate with you. There's ways, the more independent you can be, over time, the
Better.
better. Just in case, you may be on that team for your entire career. That's great. But
Right.
what if that team leader all of a sudden he decides, you know what, I think we're done. And even this economy, I think we're going to move to Florida, whatever, and step out. Now I've got a guy that he's now part of our group here at EXP Freedom Team, but he was at the same company for like 7 years on a team, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
They pulled out. They had a meeting one day and kind of mandatory. Everybody needs to be here. They gave them, you guys have been great, but we're giving you a 2 month notice. We're packing up, selling our house, moving to Florida. They're here in Colorado Springs, and we'll help you make the transition, but just know that we're going to be done. And he called me up. I'd showed him this before, and he's up and running here now. He's doing good.
Yep.
But there was a period of a couple, 2, 3 months. He feels like I'm starting all over. I don't even know what to
Right.
do.
And it's
Generate a
hard.
lead. I've never had to generate a
Yeah.
lead.
Hmm.
You get so reliant on that system or whatever. It's like, learn how to do some of that stuff along the way because you just never know. Again, things that are out of our control. And that's
So many.
whatever, and life is out of our control in so many ways. Our health, sometimes we go in, all of a sudden that unexpected diagnosis, or or a job change, or a family, something in the family, or a car accident. There's just so many things that we have no control over. This economy, this market, all
Yep.
this stuff, and it's just like, I think, again, I love this model because we can have backup plans in place for what we're already doing that would at least help us get through those kind of times if we need to. I'm
Totally.
just not worried about, life happening at this point the way I used to be. Deal to deal to deal, check to check to check. Like, 2 or 3 months from being out of business. There's a situation most realtors. And when I saw that stat the other day, 8% have done 4 deals this year or more. I'm like, holy
Uh,
cow. There'll be a lot of people out there checking out,
yeah. And
unfortunately.
true. And I want us all as agents to get out of the model that says we have to be beholden to buying leads, because I feel like that's feeding the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and I'm not, again, I'm not downing it. A
Sure.
lot of my friends buy leads. No, I mean, I get it. But
Yeah.
in general, if we just get really good at being a great realtor, like, that's one thing when people talk about, like, well, how do you build a referral business? Tons and tons of strategies and stuff. But part of that is just being a really good realtor.
Yeah.
Like, work on, like, make sure you understand contracts and the good things to do for your clients and exceeding expectations. Like, your yes be yes, your no be no. Like, so many things. Just be a good realtor. But I just think in general in our industry, there's more value if you are just reaching into the people's lives, right? And be just getting business that way.
Yeah.
Because then those people that would have gone to an online site and gotten a random realtor somewhere else, like, they'll work with you if you just. I just think it's a more stable model for realtors if we're just better at taking care of the people we know who are around us in our community, and
For
not
sure.
relying on someone else to kind of feed them to us. I know the technology, I just don't think we have to fear it. I did. I will tell you, like, 8 years ago, I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to get out of real estate because everything's going online, and I didn't like online leads.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, it's just belly to belly which is a really weird way to say that, but
That's what everybody says.
yeah, belly
And I
to
was
belly
just,
is a better
Well, I
way.
was just thinking the same thing. I think, and again, there's all kinds of ways to bring in some things, but at the end of it all, technology is great. It helps us a ton, whatever. But this is a relationship business,
It's relations. So just, be
Yeah.
really good at what you do and care about people and go build relationships. And I think,
Make
you'll
it
have
the
a much
goal.
better business.
Make it the goal to get to closing, to get the referral, not to
Yeah.
get the check.
Yeah.
If you can get to closing to get the referral, you did such a bang up job. The checks
Right.
will come. You'll get more referrals than ever because you just did the most unbelievable job. That because we've worked with some realtors that have where we worked with some clients that they have horror stories about previous transactions. They'll
Right.
never work with that agent again. And then we come out there, like, our goal is to make this a whole different experience for them, so that when it's done, all said and done, they're like, wow, that was the best thing that I've ever done, choosing you guys to work with. And here's 3 more people that are getting ready, that I know are going to sell their house in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Call them up, and I'm going to call them and tell them about you. And like, that's the best thing you can do right there. So
Just
make
take care
that
of
the goal.
people. Yep.
So any last thing you want to share before we wrap it up?
Any last thing?
Last words of
Hmm.
wisdom from Mike Rozenboom.
Oh man. Oh, wow. I should have written some down. No, I just, man, that stat really blew me away. And so that
Yeah.
gives me a heart. There's a lot of people. The market is shifting, and a lot of us, and I've noticed this too. And you might have even, I think you even said it on the call. Like, this is the time we got to be sharpening our axe.
Yeah.
I think that's exciting. I really do think
Mhm.
it's good. There's plenty of business still going on.
Yeah.
So just really get out there and take care of people. Don't,
Get out there where the people are. You're going to have a little extra time maybe right now. Don't just sit back and watch Netflix. Like,
yeah,
take your day, whatever. If I have no appointments today, whatever. Like, okay, go to a coffee shop somewhere where people are. Set your laptop up. Maybe watch some training. There's a lot of real estate training out there. Like, watch some different things. Keep sharpening your skills, but get out there where the people are. Talk to the people. You will find people that are looking to do something or have to do something. whatever. If you just meet enough people, it's a numbers game, but you can be sharpening things up. Don't just take the day off and, well, I have nothing to do today. Those people will be out of the business,
Yep.
eventually. That's what will
Agreed.
happen. So it's a great time to, it's a great time to gain market share.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone, I saw a quote from him a couple of days ago, like in the next 18 months, is the biggest opportunity in real estate ever. Now,
I
I
feel
know he's
that.
looking at big things and all kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
but I think that's out there for all of us. 2008, there were a lot of realtors that came out of that, like, man, big,
Right.
the big agents right now, they're still busy, they're working, whatever, but you gotta sharpen your skills, because the weaker agents are going to leave. And now if you're going on a listing appointment and you're competing with other agents, you're competing probably against, really good agents. So you've got to be good or you're not going to get the
Yeah.
listing. So it's a great time just to build and grow, but you can gain some things here as well. So anyway,
So be
good
around
times.
be around a lot of good agents. There's
Be
plenty.
around the right people. So, Mike, I totally appreciate your time, and thank you so much. You're, I know you got to go. You got a lunch with your daughter
I know.
coming up
I'm
here.
like, yes,
Right here,
absolutely.
exactly what we're talking about.
Yep,
Priorities.
for sure. For sure. I
Well, very
appreciate
cool,
you
man.
guys.
Well, guys, thank you very much. If you have any questions for either one of us, put them in the comments, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Mike or myself will get back to you for sure. We'll answer those questions that you might have. If you've never seen EXP and you're curious about it and Mike, give him a call. Reach out to Mike. He can help you take a look at this. It's definitely worth a look. I'll do the same. But we're here for you. Whatever we can do to help you in your business at all, come join us. So, Mike, thank you again. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.